What's up, guys? It's Sam here, and I wanted to talk about those option positions that I had open. But before I do that, make sure you press that thumbs up button and subscribe. So I am using Robinhood, which is a absolutely free trading program. There's a link in the description if you want to check it out. You get a free stock if you do. It's the one I just use anyway. So I'm not trying to promote something that I don't use. I love it. It's super easy, and I just figured out how to roll a position. So with options, there's two different ways that I look at it from how I can reduce my risk, right? So I had a 275 call on 275 put on Tesla that I sold last Friday, I think it was, and then I had a 267.5 put that I purchased. So what that does is it limits my risk to the difference between the strike prices times 100 minus the premium collected. So what that means, and you're like, fucking talk English, Sam. Nobody has any idea what the fuck you're talking about. I know, I'm getting better. I'm trying to. I got my trusted pen out. I'm going to show you. Okay. So you have the strike price of 1 and strike price of 2 minus money. Okay. So we got this one, and this one. X1, X2, and then the money. So what that represents is 275 right here minus 267.5. I should get a whiteboard. Anybody who has an extra whiteboard and wants to send it to me, let me know. So the difference between, so this is the strike price, right? This is the one that I sold short. This is the one that I purchased. And the money that I collected was 2.88. So if you take the difference between these two, it is 7.50 minus 2.88, right? So if you take the difference between those two, it is, 4 something, I think. And that's where I grab my little calculator here. 462.62. So that's the maximum I can lose times 100, right? So that's $462. But what happens, right, in options pricing? The biggest factor that goes into the price of the option, right? Like if you were to take the price, like if it's $100, right, and you were to take the $100 and you were to kind of divide out that price into different portions that actually all the factors that come together to make up the price of an option, right? It's $100. So say 70% of that comes from the volatility of the underlying. The last 30% are divided up between 5 other factors or 4 other factors or something like that. And as I mentioned in a different video, the reason that I choose the weekly options, I want to capture the theta. Theta is the time decay on the option. So it doesn't look like, it looks much more, the time decay, which is the time value of money on the option, decays like this. It's fairly linear, and then it just drops off exponentially. And as it gets closer to the expiration date. So I do the weeklies on this so that I can capture more of that time decay in the underlying or in the option. And when a position moves against me, right, like it did with the options for Tesla, it was going to lose a couple $100. So as this happens, there's 2 things that you can do, 2 pieces that come together, and if you get them both together, as in the way I did it, you actually can reduce your total risk on a position. And it doesn't always happen that way, but sometimes you can get it that way. And what I'm talking about is, so Tesla's price is probably around 270, 268 right now. So that means that I would be losing money on this, right? And So what you can do with weekly options is you can roll them. Now, what rolling means is you can take the position from this expiration of this Friday, the 22nd. Today's the 19th of March. So they're going to expire on the, I think it's, 3 p.m. or 3:30 p.m. on the 22nd. So they expire then, but before then, and also if you wait till the very last second, there's virtually if I remember correctly, I don't think there's any interest, meaning you won't be able to actually roll them because nobody wants to trade if they're going to be expiring in an hour. But so you roll them over to the following week. So what I was able to do is I took the position from this Friday and I moved it to next Friday. So how do you do that? Well, logistically, you long press on the one option in the app, and then you go over and you do the same thing on the other option. But theoretically, and what you're doing is, remember the 275 that I sold. So we have I'm going to just use a negative for the 275 put, and then I'm going to use a positive for the 267.5 put. And this is for the expiration on 322, right? So this one on 322, these are both puts. I sold this short, and then the bottom one I purchased. So because the top one was closer to the money, meaning at the time the price of Tesla was right around 276, so that one sells for a higher price because it has a higher probability of being exercised because it's right by the price. The other one's way down here. So in order for that one to be exercised, the price has to come all the way down below it. And so I have a negative position because I'm short, and then I have a positive position. So now what I would have to do in order to roll that to the following week would be purchase and sell, and then sell, and then purchase. So now, to get rid of this position, right, we have a negative, so that means we purchase it, plus sign is purchase, so we purchase this put to close out that leg, and then the part down here, which we're long just means that we own it, we sell it. So that's why there's a minus sign next to the 267.5. Make sure you press that like button if you want me to get a real whiteboard, and then maybe I can put it on the wall and it'll be easier to articulate this message. But that closes out that position. But simultaneously, so in the same trade, I go short 275 and long the 267.50. So essentially what I'm doing is just moving the date from expiring on 322 to expiring on 329. And this I do often when I was doing my demo account. By the way, make sure you press that thumbs up button if you want to hear about the demo account. But double the value, I think, in 90 days or so. But you roll it from one week to the next, and that gives you more time to be in the money, right? Remember I mentioned that Tesla is trading at around 270, 269 or something like that. So I lose money on this position, right? And it's potential that I could lose more money. But what ends up happening is not always. So how much would this position cost, right? So I generally only like to roll positions if that means I can collect more premium. So what happened is 2.88, and I don't remember the detail of what it was. I think it was 43 cents or something, but I'm not sure, so I'm just going to put down 30. So what I did by doing this is I actually collected another 30 bucks. And I don't like to, so there's called credits and debits. So if you roll a position and it's a debit, that means you pay. If you roll a position and you get a credit, that means you receive money. You can open a position as a credit, you can open it as a debit. One just means you're kind of buying something, you have to outlay money. The other one means you receive money, premium. So I received another 30 bucks for this position, right? And generally speaking, it's because this is much closer to the money, or closer to expiration. So I've already earned a bunch of the time decay, the theta, that we talked about on the last page, where right here. So I've already earned a bunch of that. So what this, because this one's further away, right? This is as of the 29th. I get to pick back up further out here, right? Before it's really starting to drop off exponentially. And that premium, that $30 that I get, gets added to the 288 to give me a different break-even point. So that's 3.18. I think my break-even point is 330 or something. I'll have to look it back up again. But that gives me a total premium collected. So this is how much I make, right, if the position is profitable. $318 if it expired and I didn't have to pay anything to close out the position and it was above 275 or whatever. But by rolling this out, I actually get to drop my break-even point. So if Tesla still stays at 269, so what is your break-even point, right? So it's going to be the 275 minus the 2.88 in the first scenario, right? Because why is that, right? Do you remember we talked about 1, 2? So we talked about the maximum amount I could lose is the difference between the two strike prices. And then you subtract out the premium collected, right? So it's 275 minus 267.50. That's $7.50 minus the money I received. And I received 288. So you subtracted that out and it was 467 or 462 that I could lose. But now instead of 462, I just collected. So this is what the break even would have been. But now I collected another 30 cents on there. So if you subtract out another 30 cents on here, the break even actually changes to 271 and 82 cents. So that's a lower break even. So that means Tesla can go from 269 or whatever it is right now, and it can come up and settle at 272, and I make money. Where in this scenario, it doesn't. So that's why I like to roll out. Another thing that you can do by rolling, not all the time, is, so what this does is essentially it takes some risk off the table, right? Because now instead of the difference between the two strike prices being $462, now it's $432. So my maximum loss is less. And in this scenario here. But another thing which I really like to do, if possible, is collect premium and change the strike prices. So let's go on to the next page. So if you're still following, make sure you press that subscribe button. So now going from 322 to 329, which are the this Friday versus next Friday, and you have the 275, 267.5. I went to 272.5 and 265, right? So ideally, something like this, where this is negative, this is positive, this is negative, this is positive, right? So you roll from this, you close out this position, you buy this, and you sell this, so this wipes this clean, and then you open up this position. But you see how the strike prices are actually different. They're lower. And what I ideally want to do is lower the strike prices for this put spread here, lower the strike prices, and collect premium. Because what that does is it helps reduce the risk. So now, because I was able to, in this scenario, we lowered the strike prices, and you can do that and still collect premium. Like, it definitely happens. So 272.5 minus 2.88 minus the 30 cents. Now, my break even, right? Because you have 272 and 50 cents. 272.5 minus 2.88 minus 30 cents, and the difference is 269.32. So now it's very close to where Tesla's actual stock price is right now. So if it goes up to 70, if it goes up to 269 and 59 cents, I can still make all that premium at $300 and change. So those are the two things that I like to do whenever possible if a position moves against me. And sometimes like it can move like crazy far against you. And sometimes you just take a loss, and that's what it is. But if you guys found this video interesting, make sure you press that thumbs up button. And if you have any questions, let me know down below in the comments, or reach out to me on Instagram. Link will be below or above if you're watching on Facebook. Peace.